Well, hey there. I want to check in again today. I am still riding high from night one of Reframe Your Authority. I hosted some amazing women last night and we talked about what is truly making sales and marketing hard when you're making that pivot from corporate to entrepreneur. And the messaging, the revelations, the insights, all of it seemed to resonate so well with the women who were in the room. And so that makes me feel good. I spent a great deal amount of time preparing and making sure that I was really speaking from what I wish I would have known or understood about that pivot. And the fact that it landed so well with the women is just so very encouraging to me. And so I am on a cloud. We'll call it cloud number 9, simply because when you are investing yourself in your work the way that I do, and you get the feedback that things are going well, it always, always, always makes you feel good. It feels like a God wink that you are headed in the right direction, and I feel all of that this morning. Now, I wanted to pop in because I want to tell you guys a little bit of a story. For me, when I wake up in the mornings, I am in true reflection mode. I am a big processor. I think through a lot of different things. And I had something happen yesterday that really was just a remarkable just kind of example of what being coachable really is. And so I was on a new client onboarding call, and I was doing all of the intake. We were talking through the things that she's doing, what she's looking about accomplishing, where she wants to go with her business. In fact, she just recently hosted an event. She has some speaking engagements coming up, and she is just looking forward to going forward with the coaching business that she's looking to establish. And after we talked through a few different things, I actually suggested a pivot to her, which she took in stride. I will say that she wasn't really completely taken back, but she leaned in when she could sense that I had some specific guidance for her in her journey. And the pivot that I suggested, especially the pivotal thing is we were at the point of starting her private coaching engagement with me. But the pivot that I suggested was really recommending that she become a part of this upcoming generic to magnetic cohort that I am launching next week. So we are in open enrollment for a genetic to magnetic. It is a corporate to entrepreneur experience that I have put together that really helps you begin to understand how to position your business in the marketplace. And so the recommendation that I made in the midst of our onboarding call is that instead of coaching privately with me, that she should be a part of this cohort. Now, I really didn't know what to expect as her response. I didn't know where she was going to land with that because obviously you just paid your money. In fact, she paid in full to do coaching with me. And then you get on the phone with your coach and your coach is like, hey, I think you need to pivot and do this instead. And the response that she gave me literally stopped me in my tracks because she said to me, I trust you. And if that's what you believe is best, if that's what you recommend, I'll do it. And that was such an incredible mark of being coachable. Because when you are coming into a relationship with a coach, with a strategist, with someone that you have invested in to help accelerate your success, the one key thing you have to do is be open to the guidance that they are giving you. And in that moment, she could have chose any response. And she chose the response to say, I trust you. So here's the reason why I made that recommendation. And this is where you may be like her. I made the recommendation because before we can get into strategy, before we could get into scaling, before we could even get into being more in demand and selling harder, I needed her to be clear on her positioning. And the way that I teach positioning is it answers these 5 questions. And these are extremely key to ensure that you will have viability in the marketplace. The first question that we go after in generic to magnetic is to really understand who you're talking to. Who is your target audience? And one of the mistakes that I hear so often is I can help anyone. Anybody can benefit from this. And I will tell you, if you cast that broader net, you're going to come back with so much unusable stuff, so many unusable contacts, people, engagements. You want to be more targeted. So you got to know who you're talking to. Now, I always say you are talking to your target and other people are listening, but you always are in conversation with the one that you're looking to reach and attract. So the first thing that positioning, especially under the model that I teach, that we clarify is who you're talking to. The second thing that we clarify is what are they really wrestling with? What's keeping them up at night? What are their fears? What are their desires? What do they want? This helps you with messaging. You have to understand how to speak their language. The biggest compliment, in fact, someone actually said this on the call last night. The biggest compliment you can get is for them to say you're talking to them, for them to say you must be in my head, for them to say I resonate, for them to think you're following me around, for them to have the impression that you understand exactly what they're struggling with and what's going on with them. So you have to know that, and you have to be able to speak to it. The third thing that's really important, and this is one that a lot of entrepreneurs just kind of skip right past, is you got to understand why it matters enough to them to take action. I always like to use this example, and so many of us have had it. We may have a door handle that's a little loose. We may have a button that you have to hit a few times. We may have a light switch that you have to flicker more than once. But until that issue becomes big enough to you to take action, you'll just continue to look over it. And so when you are thinking about the person that you are looking to attract, you got to understand what about the problem matters enough for them to act. Number 4. The fourth thing that our positioning strategy helps to unlock for you is how to talk about it with confidence and authority. How to take the leadership that you had in corporate and begin to give context to what you're doing in the marketplace so that you can speak confidently and with great authority. And then finally, and this one is the ringer. This is probably categorically the thing that I do differently than any other business coach or strategist that's out there, at least from the ones I've had exposure to. We go through an exercise that helps you to determine whether or not you are solving a money-making problem. What I find, especially when we are leaning into fulfillment, we want to solve something that is meaningful to us, and that is great. But when you are looking to continue your success and make that pivot from corporate to entrepreneur, you need to make some money. So you have to begin to understand whether the problem you're showing up to solve in the marketplace is truly a money-making problem. And I have an entire strategy around that answers that question clearly. And not only does it answer the question, it goes on to give you the steps and actions you must take if your problem doesn't qualify as a money-making problem, so that you can then get it into the money-making quadrant and ensure that you're in position to make revenue. What I have found is without this clarity around positioning, this is exactly what makes sales and marketing feel really hard. What happens when your positioning comes together is beyond just clarity. What happens then is you have audience clarity. You know exactly who you're talking to. You have problem definition. You know exactly what problem you solve. You have messaging that lands with the person that you're talking to. You are able to articulate the value in a way that is impactful and meaningful to them. You have a real marketplace differentiation. You're not just showing up like everyone else and saying what everyone else says. You have a great deal of specific specifics around what it is you do and solve. You have offer relevance. Your offer makes complete sense because it's relevant to what you're bringing to the marketplace. You fit right in your category. And then finally, you have justification for your price. And the reason why I suggested this to my brand new client on call number 1, where we're onboarding, is because I wanted all of those things for her. I wanted to make sure that she would be positioned in a way so that her speaking engagements would convert for her, so that her events would convert for her, so that her conversation would attract the right people that she is looking to serve, and it would all convert. When your positioning is right, your messaging stops chasing and it starts attracting the right clients magnetically. And that's one of the reasons why I named this signature program Generic to Magnetic. Now, what's interesting about this process is I work with a group who are interested in taking that journey very intimately. It's a small setting. We are only letting select people come in who are interested in doing this in a brief time quickly. It is a 30-day program and the doors are open for Generic to Magnetic. They are going to close on February the 4th. And so if you found any of what I said resonates with you, I want to invite you to book a call with me. That is the only way that you can become a part of the cohort. I do that to ensure that you're going to get the success at the end of the journey that you are looking for and that this program is a right fit for you. So, if you are ready to stop sounding generic, if you are ready to stop guessing, and if you are ready to start attracting the right clients with clarity and confidence, I want to tell you that this is the work, and I want to invite you to be a part of Generic to Magnetic. You can book a time on my calendar. I actually opened it up for this launch season. You can book a time on my calendar at www.callwithdenise.live. You can grab a slot for us to have a conversation about where you are, what you're looking to accomplish. Generic to Magnetic is one of the signature programs for corporate to entrepreneur. We are taking a cohort through starting in February, and I'd love for you to be a part of it if you need that same type of market clarity for your business.